I'm here again. I'm in my kitchen this time, not sat in front of the Christmas tree or somewhere else in the house, but I'm in the kitchen. And that's because I'm going to do some power maths with you today of a different kind, because maths is not just all about counting, is it? And it's not just all about numbers. Sometimes power maths is all about measuring, weighing, and also it's about understanding time. And when we're cooking and baking, they're the three things really that we've got to understand. I've got to know how much ingredients I'm putting into my cooking, and I've also got to know how long it needs to cook in the oven. Okay, so I hope you're going to help me today, because this is something that came from my story that I read, my Angelina at Christmas story. Those of you that saw me read that story would have noticed that Angelina made some biscuits, didn't she, with her mummy and her cousin Henry, and then they took them to old Mr. Bell to make him feel a bit happier at Christmas. Well, I wondered if you would like to help me, and obviously you'll do it in your house with your mum or your dad or your grandma, or maybe you do it with your big brother or sister. But would you like to make some biscuits at Christmas time, just like me and just like Angelina? Great! Now, the recipe that I've looked at today has actually got something in it called ginger. And ginger is a spice and people use it a lot at Christmas time. But my family don't like ginger. I do, but the rest of them don't. So I've changed the recipe for you today, and we're going to use lemon instead, because my family really like lemon. But don't worry, mums and dads, I have a sheet that I've attached to the video, and you can print that off if you want to, or just have a look at it and have a read, and you'll know what the ingredients are. But I'm also going to show you, because everything we need today is on my tray. Okay, so let's get cracking. Oh, that's funny because I've already got an egg. Now, what you will need for these biscuits is you will need self-raising flour. If you've got plain flour, might not work so well. Self-raising flour. You will need some sugar, preferably caster sugar, because that's a little bit finer, a bit smaller. You will need 1 egg. If you're going to use my recipe, you will need a lemon, and you will need some butter. Now you can probably use margarine, but you might not get such a nice buttery taste. Plus we're a bit naughty in our family and we do eat butter all the time. So they're the things that you need. Now, equipment that you'll need, you will need some scales. Now, Mrs. Bowen's scales look like this. There's numbers all the way round and my bowl sits on top like that. You will also need one of these. You'll need a rolling pin, and maybe I've still got my Ella's from when she was little. If you're going to help mum or dad, you might want your own, okay? You're going to need a mixing bowl to put your bits and pieces in. Big spoon to mix it with. This is called a lemon juicer. If you've got one of those, that's great. But if you haven't, don't worry. You just need a strong hand just to squeeze it in. All right? And you might need a little jug just to put your egg in so you can mix that up later. All right. Now, you'll notice I've already started with some of my ingredients, and that's because I've made bits and pieces for you already, otherwise this bit's going to take too long. So I'm going to show you, first of all, what you would do. So this is bits for the mums and dads really, so we know the step by step. So follow the recipe, and you need 250 grams of your flour. So you pop that into your scales, and when you've got that, tip it in to your mixing bowl, which I've done already. So your flour goes in. Then after that, you need your sugar, and you need 125 grams of sugar. So you would tip that in as well into your scales and then transfer it into your mixing bowl. Okay, then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to get your butter, and you're really lucky because if you use butter like me, it is exactly half a block. It's the whole block. Cut it in half, and then the recipe tells you to actually cut that block into smaller cubes. We know what cubes are, don't we, children? We do counting in Power Maths with those all the time, don't we? So cut it into lots and lots of smaller cubes like this, and then you put those into your mixing bowl as well. I tell you what, I'll just put one in for now so that I can show you the next thing. So you've got your flour, you've got your butter, and you've added your sugar. Now, the next thing you would do is this. This is the messy bit, children, but the bit that's always great. Now, they actually say to make biscuits, it's not good to have warm hands. Mrs. Bowen's always got warm hands. I'm a bit like my daddy. He's always got warm hands as well. But they say for biscuits, you should have cold hands. So we would have cleaned our hands in the beginning. If your hands are feeling really hot now, maybe run them under the cold tap and cool them down a little bit. But if they're okay, you can get your hands straight in to the bowl with the flour, the sugar and the butter and start to rub it together. So you're squishing that butter and rubbing it into the flour until it's all rubbed together, and it starts to feel a bit like breadcrumbs, and your mums and dads will know a bit more how that feels. But you don't want any big lumps in it, no big lumps of butter, okay? You just want it all nicely mixed together, just like that. Okie dokie. Now when that's all done like that, can you see it? It's all in the crumbed up shape. You're then going to put some lemon in. I'm just going to get a tea towel for my hands so that they're not all messy. It is a bit messy as you go along, but that's good fun, isn't it? Right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put some lemon peel into our biscuit mixture, and for that you need something special called a zester, and I don't think I've got it here. I think it's wet. I've washed it, look, I've washed it. Here we go, it's all dry. This is a special piece of equipment that if you pull it round, you just get the peel off the lemon. Can you see those little bits there? That's just the peel, the bit that we don't eat normally, but it is super yummy when it's in cakes. Okay, so you need the zest of a whole lemon. If you haven't got one of these, you can use a cheese grater. I've got a cheese grater here, and that does exactly the same job. Okay, little cheese grater, grate your lemon, and you can see all that lovely zest going into the bowl. Super, super duper. Now, I've got a little bit of extra lemon. I've got some lemon essence. I'm going to put a little bit of that in. And then I'm going to squeeze my lemon. Now I'm only using half, and that's because I've made half the recipe already just to show you, but you would cut your lemon in half and you would do the whole lemon in your recipe. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to squeeze the lemon now, twist it, twist it, twist it around this thing. It's such a clever machine. Can you see how it works? As I twist and twist and twist, all the pips get collected on there, but all the lovely juicy lemon juice goes inside. There it is. Take off the lid and you can see. Pour it in. That's great. And the last thing we need to do is we need to add some egg. So you would need to crack your egg into your jug and then beat it up with a fork. So I've already done half of it already and this is the last bit. So I'm going to put that in, dip it in, and then we're going to use that big spoon, here it is, and give it a mix. Mix up that lovely mixture together and you'll see it starts to stick. It's all coming together now. Smells lovely. Wish you could smell it. Smells nice and lemony. So it's starting to stick together. It's better if you do this bit with a spoon and not with your fingers. There you go. And it'll all come together like that. And when you've got a blob of it, this is the next bit you'll need to do. Do you remember I said that you need cold hands to make biscuits? Well, it's better if you can now put that mixture into the fridge. And lucky for you, I've already got some in mine. So I'm just coming up with it. And here it is. Ha-ha! For all you mums and dads out there that can remember Blue Peter, they used to say, didn't they? And here's one I prepared earlier. And here it is. So I'm going to put that one that we've just mixed in the fridge, and then we're going to use this one now to make biscuits. Okay, so this is. So you will need a little bit of flour to put out. Go, because it still gets a bit sticky. It's that lemon juice and the egg that's made the mixture a little bit sticky. So we're going to put it on there. And what do you think I'm going to use now, children, to roll it out? Shall I use the cheese grater? Shall I use the spoon? No. I'm going to use the rolling pin. Is that okay? Yeah. Right, I'll use the rolling pin, and now you can see that it's not so sticky because it's been in the fridge. It's a bit more solid and it's easy to use. Right, so now you will have a lot of mixture. Remember, I've only actually got half the mixture here, and I've already cooked some for you already, so I can show you the end result. So here we go. When you've got it, I'll show you the thickness of it in a moment. Here's my tray. I've got greaseproof paper on my tray. If you haven't, you could maybe use a bit of tin foil, or you just put a little bit of butter or oil on there just to grease the tray. Right, so you need some Christmas cutters. I've got a mixture. Christmas trees, different sizes. It's like Daddy Bear, Mummy Bear and Baby Bear, isn't it? But if you haven't got Christmas trees, maybe you don't celebrate Christmas at all, and that's absolutely fine. You can find something different instead. I've also got some stars, so I'll do a mixture for us. Righto, let's try the first one. Put my cutter in, give it a bit of a poke out. And there we go, there's our first Christmas tree. You don't want it too thick, otherwise it won't cook. So there's one, and we'll have another little one as well. If you follow all the recipe with all the ingredients, it says you can get up to 40 biscuits. That's a lot, isn't it? That's probably enough for you to have at home and enough to give away if that's what you want to do. Let's have a star. Keep rolling your mixture as well, so you can get as many out of it as you can. But remember, not too thin. There's another one. And another one. Yeah, it's definitely worth putting it in the fridge, mums and dads. It makes a massive difference actually. Earlier on when I was doing it, it was very, very sticky. And I was getting a bit worried. I thought, oh, no, I can't show the mums and dads how to do the baking when it's looking like that. But at the moment, it's okay. Right, we're nearly there. I've just got this last little bit of dough. I'm just going to roll up a bit more flour. Don't be frightened to keep putting the flour on if it starts to feel sticky. It'll be absolutely fine, and it might make your biscuits even crunchier. Okay, there's another star. You could sing to yourself while you're doing it. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Fancy children, we were going to be singing when Santa got stuck up the chimney, weren't we? Oh, and now we can't because we're at home. But you could sing that while you're doing your baking if you like. When Santa got stuck up the chimney, he began to shout, "You girls and boys won't get any toys if you don't pull me out." Can you remember it? My beard is black, there's soot in my sack, my nose is tickling too. When Santa got stuck up the chimney, achoo, achoo, achoo. Better not sneeze in these biscuits, that wouldn't be very nice, would it? Right, I think we've probably got enough going on there because my tray is nearly full. And they do spread out a little bit when they're cooking. So there's your tray all ready to go in. So here's another bit of maths, everybody. I've got to know how to read the numbers on my oven, haven't I? I've got to know that I need to put these in my oven at 180 degrees centigrade. That's a big number. That's a bit bigger than 5, isn't it? 180 degrees. And I've also got to know that they need to be in there for about 12 minutes. My oven gets quite hot, so about 12 minutes, okay? So I'm going to put mine in right now. I'm going to look at the clock, and I know that they need to come out in 12 minutes time, so I'll be keeping my eye on that. Now, while they're cooking, let's just show you the last little stage, because when they're cooked, they should look like this. A little bit brown underneath, little bit brown around the edges, nice and crispy to sound when you listen. Nice and crunchy to eat, lovely. But they look a bit boring like that, don't they? So if you want to, this is something that's not on the recipe, but if you want to do this, you can decorate them. And when I was looking in my cupboard, I was really lucky that I noticed we've got some silver balls. We've obviously done something like this before, but you can buy these from the supermarket. They've got a lot of things like that around at the moment. So this is the last part that you might want to do. And I've got some here that are all finished. That's what you would want them to look like at the end. All beautiful and shiny, ready for someone to eat. Put them on a nice Christmas plate and they look really lovely, don't they? So we've just got that last stage to do, and that is decorating them. So when you've made them and you've cooled them down and you've not eaten them like I have, you might want to put some icing on them. And you need the same icing sugar that Miss Holly talked about when she did her icing sugar letters. But you add a little bit of water to it, or you could add some lemon juice to it if you want it to be more lemony. Make it into a little bit of a runny paste, but not too runny. And then just pour it onto your biscuits any way you like, doesn't matter, doesn't have to be neat, really doesn't. It's a bit like putting sticky glue on your biscuits, that's all you're doing. Tip a few of these balls into your hand and blob them on. Just blob them on any old way. I suppose if you're making a Christmas tree, you might want to make it look a bit more decorated. Maybe your tree's a bit like mine and those baubles are just shoved anywhere. Mine looks like that. And there it is. They might wobble off a bit, but you can pick them all up again. Okay, so you put your icing on and your baubles on. Leave them to dry, and then when they're dry, they will look like that. The baubles won't be falling off, they'll all be dry. And you can give those to somebody with a nice cup of tea. Or you might want to put them in a bag or a box and give them to Granny, or take them round to an elderly neighbour that you know. Alright, better keep my eye on that time, because I don't want those biscuits to burn, do I? I feel like I've got stuff everywhere though. I better go, everybody. It's been great doing this for you. Enjoy your biscuits. I hope you made them, because I think they are quite yummy actually. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye.